Good morning. We just had a nice little snowstorm. It's just wrapping up. I'll be heading out into the wilderness here shortly, and there are a few preparations I'd like to make. This is actually my first aid bag. And in my first aid bag, I will carry some alcohol wipes, prescription painkillers. Emergency situation might be the thing that helps you get out of a bad bind, especially in these temperate conditions. Last night it was 5 degrees. Tonight they're talking about 5 degrees, but an Arctic wind is coming in, and that'll bring the wind chill down to minus 15, minus 20. So I want to be prepared, and that's one of the biggest things when you're going into the wilderness, is being prepared mentally and physically. And through that, there are procedures that one goes through, and this is one of them. My whole backpack is full of compartment bags like this. This bag here is waterproof, and I put all my first aid essentials in it, which is mostly herbs. I'll carry 4 to 5 herbs with me that I use pretty much all the time. There are several other herbs that I use from time to time if I find something really sweet that I haven't seen in a while out wild crafting. I perhaps will do a harvest, but some things that I also carry are some fishing line, a bobber, some hooks, and I like medical tape versus duct tape. Duct tape has its usage. I just like the way this is packaged. It works well for me. You get a broken finger, you get a gouge, you can tape yourself up, and there are just many things. But when you're backpacking, I am a long distance backpacker, so although I'm going out for just a short trip later on today, I usually will go out for months at a time, and I'll be out there maybe, let's say, 3 months. I could cover maybe 700 to even 1,000 miles in the mountains backpacking. And with that, I have learned a lot. And with that said, I have learned a lot by often mistakes that I have made, and not to repeat such things. So I try to keep my pack light, but have the essential things. And in my pack here, I carry things that I need, and along the way, if I could benefit somebody else, that is great. One of my favorite herbs that I use is motherwort, and I guess I have always had issues in my GI. I have a lot of nervous and energy and anxieties, and motherwort helps calm me. It'll help keep me having a regular heartbeat, as far as a nice smooth rhythm. I always carry it with me. I use it a lot. Comfrey is a good universal all around poultice for healing mostly. I'll use it as a poultice. Yarrow, don't really use it too much when I'm out backpacking, but it's better to have it and not need it, and need it and not have it. So I always carry some yarrow with me. And yarrow is really good if you've got a fever coming on, if you're starting to have some symptoms. And basically, and I want to clarify that herbalism is is not so much about treating diseases, but perhaps chronic illnesses, and helps strengthening your immune system so that you may not get sick at all. It's more about preventative maintenance, and if you do get ill, perhaps it'll be a quick recovery. And basically, if I was to explain it, I would explain it just like that. And this is what herbalism is about, mostly. Yarrow, and these are some flower tops and leaves, and mostly the flower tops. And I had mentioned a moment ago in how I don't need it too much, but let's say you're getting sick, you get a fever coming on. This actually will help your body heal itself, because that's what we're doing in herbalism, is that we are taking, let's say, the standardized medication out, the pills out, and we are using natural remedies to strengthen your body so that your body can heal itself. Because for the most part, your body can take care of just about, all that ails you. Just needs a little push sometimes. So this will actually make you sweat. You'll make I like a hot infusion, a tea. And if you feel symptoms coming on, you want to kind of help move things along, and you want to sweat it out. You want to bring out that fever, because that heat and that fever is your body working to speed up the healing process, to actually do the healing process. So yarrow will help bring on the heat, the sweating, and you'll take it preferably before you go to bed at night, and it'll help your body cleanse itself. And last but not least, oh no, that's not true, but one of my favorites, in combination with motherwort, I will use echinacea and the coneflowers. And echinacea is a really good immune booster, strengthener, blood strengthener. And so I'll often take it, and I'll suggest to friends as well as taking echinacea with perhaps a motherwort, and sometimes when you're really getting a fever coming on, some yarrow and echinacea, and just kind of help balance things out, and with a mullein as well. And if you have any congestion coming on, something upper respiratory problems, mullein is your ticket. And so I always bring some. I'm running a little low, so I plan on bringing my supplies up just a little bit. I have a friend who contacted me yesterday, and she says she's not feeling well. She said she'll call me later. She may want me to help her out. So I may, just in case I have to make some moves and change my plans, I'll get her going with a nice supply as well, as a backup anyways, just in case. I'll keep it in my truck in case I need to go pay a visit. But this is, right now, this is for my new outing. And I'll be heading into the mountains, and it's going to be quite cold. Obviously not really doing any foraging, but to be quite honestly, if I could, I would be in the mountains in a backpack every day of my life. I just love it out there. one of the things that I would do if I had my chance. And I'm taking advantage of that later on today. This is strong medicine yarrow. Off and on I will get into details about the various herbs and their benefits, doses. And often the history of it is fascinating. Here almost all of those herbs have been purchased. This here, my motherwort, I have wild crafted. Often lucky. When I was out backpacking the Appalachian Trail, I found motherwort twice out there. And it's good too, because I do go through quite a bit of it, and it really does help me. We all have our kinks in our armor, if you will. Some people are prone to headaches and nausea, backaches, perhaps colds and flus. Yeah, I have a lot of stomach problems, and always have, ever since I was a child. It's just one of those things. And I just have to be conscious of it and keep an eye on it. But it's really alright. That's all I need really to do. My backpack is pretty much always ready to go. The reason why you have all of these various bags, you have a bag for your tent, your sleeping bag, your bedroll, your food, your beverages. I like to have a bag full of teas and coffee, as I'm drinking here still. Alright. Fortunately, my friends will bring bags back. I like to recycle them. I use them a lot. And that's another thing about backpacking, is that these things are really, you put your cell phone in here, you put your batteries, you put everything that you don't want to get wet protected, because when you're out there, chances are you're gonna get wet. I am going to give my friend, if she asks, just getting it ready now, some mullein. She said it's just starting to come on. She has issues taking aspirin. It upsets her stomach. She really doesn't want to take medication at all if she can help it. And so she said she may call me later. So hopefully I'll have service. And if I could help her, I will try. Mullein is all over here in the Northeast. Here are 30 grams. really easy to wildcraft it yourself. But often out of convenience, I will purchase online as I'm often traveling in a backpack. I have done wildcrafting out there living in the mountains. It's just so hard to get things to dry out and keep moving. How about that? But oftentimes you can just make a fresh tea, so it doesn't really keep well. But so then you would just pick what you need as you need it. Or like some very famous herbalists have said, sometimes the best herb is the one that you have. And last but not least, lovely echinacea. I will label these in a moment. It's really easy for me to identify all of these just by looks, but for my friend, I think labeling would be important. In the wintertime, I will put together many hobbies, being inside and it's dreadfully cold out. And one is I enjoy making pens out of turkey feathers, or out of feathers in general, but you know, turkey feathers, they look pretty sporty. So with that said, we have one here that's a bit tattered, but this would be the left wing of a turkey, and the reason is that you can tell by the curves here, and then this would be what is called the leading edge. And this in flight, and how we got, you know, flight, we studied birds, and this is how airplanes work as well, is that the wind, the leading edge cuts the wind and forces it underneath in the curve, this wing here, and then forces lift because of the curvature. That's all. It's basic formulas in trigonometry. I never thought that it would be useful, but in aviation and in celestial navigation, if you happen to be active in either one of those, it's quite useful. So what I will do, or I have already done this once, but I'd like to explain, because this is a really fun thing that you can do. You can do with your kids, or really their age has no limit. And so what I will do first is that we cut, and we need to ream or purge. And so you cut the tip here, as I did, and you want to take like a clothes hanger, and you bring it in here, and you just try to get it up there as far as you can, just clearing out the debris that are in there. Some feathers you can go all the way up and use a full cartridge. This one here, unfortunately, I had to cut the cartridge short, but still easy to do, fun to use, and it just looks rather sporty, I might say. One time I was with a date, and we went to a really nice restaurant, and I had just came across a huge area where the turkeys had been working in the wilderness, and her name is Anna, and I found a whole bunch of turkey feathers, and I picked up the various supplies that I needed, and met my friend at a really nice seafood restaurant in Manhattan called the Blue Water Grill, right outside of Union Square. And we had an oyster eating contest, and there were drinks involved, and we were making turkey feather pens and passing them out to the customers, to the waiters and waitress staff and bartenders, and we really had a good time, a really good time. So I like to keep my own records, and I will pass it on later on to my friend. Another hobby of mine is I'll come across some old landfills, and I'll start digging around. You usually can see broken pieces of plates and glasses, and usually I'll dig around in those areas, and sometimes I'll uncover old bottles, and I'll like to clean them out, find a stopper, some type of cork. I have one over here laying around for later on. I will prepare this, and eventually this will serve holding a tincture that I will prepare and probably give it to a friend. All of these projects here that I have will go somewhere, to either a children's museum or to friends, but usually both. Preparing a little something before I go away for a friend. Cut. Like to take care of all business before I go away. That way I can really enjoy myself. So you can see I recycle bags. I'm pretty successful at it. I use them a lot. One of my favorite things to do is make turkey feather pens. And this is actually not a turkey feather. This is the left wing of a red-tailed hawk. And it would make a nice pen. I don't think that I will do that right now, but I would like to maybe briefly give an example of how it's done. And first thing you should do is start with a sharp knife. And after taking the tip off, you want to purge it. I'm not really going to get a really long pen in here, but it'll be good enough. And so, I'm sure there are many ways of doing it. I like these. They have a really nice cartridge, and there are times where you can use the whole one, depending on the feather. And I'm running low. Perhaps after the snow melts, I'll be able to get out there and get some more. I think that's all we're going to get away with on this one. It's a waste, but it'll make a wonderful gift. And it really is a lot of fun to do, going out into the woods first and finding turkey feathers, you know, with your kids. And then going home and making these nifty little writing instruments. And it's just getting hung up here. Just a little bit. And I don't want to cut too much off, or it won't stay in. So it's getting hung up. There we go. It was getting hung up on the lip. And here we go. Finished product. How cool is that? Cut. Wow, did you just see that deer go by? One thing when you're out backpacking alone, you tend to be very quiet, no one to talk to, and just nature just shows up all over the place. Well, I've been at it most of the day here. I think it got up to maybe 15 degrees today. The sun really helped. But when you're backpacking, you know, in the sunny days in the sun, the snow blindness is a real problem, a real threat, and you want to make sure that you have proper gear. The first thing about survival and the tools of the trade your most useful tool is right here, your brain. And with that said, knowing your limitations, knowing the environment that you're going to go traverse into, proper gear, proper clothing, and proper gear, and making as many good choices as possible. With that being said, I think I'm going to stop right here and set up camp. It's going to get really cold tonight, below zero. I chose setting up behind this hill here. The wind will be coming from the north tonight, and we are on the leeward side of that, be in the south side of that hill. And it'll help block the wind. In my tent, my -20 sleeping bag tonight. Yeah, I broke out the heavy-duty stuff because I knew it was going to be bad, and you want to be prepared. So, with that said, I think I like this spot. I think I like this spot a lot. I got the protection here. I got a reasonably flat spot here when you're backpacking. It's great to find a flat spot. You don't always get a really good flat spot. But then your air mattress is the great equalizer. And that's another tool. You don't want to sleep right on the ground. You want to be elevated if you can help so. And that's if you don't have an air mattress. You can find probably some evergreens, you know, and cut some of the lower limbs off of a amount of evergreen trees, from spruce to cedar, around here anyways, hemlock, and you can make yourself a nice bedding just to get above, you know, just get above the snow. Keep your body and your sleeping bag, your tent floor off of the snow is very helpful. Good grief. Why am I having difficulties here? That's funny. Now we've got some daylight here. I've been feeling a little run down. We've been at it just about all day. I feel stopping early, making a nice hot cup of tea, nice warm dinner before I go to bed, and a nice warm fire is always soothing. Humans have been sitting around fires for thousands of years. As backpackers, we call it hiker TV. Kind of mesmerizing, and the warmth kind of just draws you in. Kind of sucks you into its romance. Everything in my pack is in bags. I know exactly what it is by the bag is in it, and it really helps you keep an eye on your gear. You don't want to be leaving any gear behind out here. It can be the gear that you need that saves your life. sure it's beautiful weather. Red-tailed hawk just flew by. This frozen, like concrete, snow-covered ground. It's really difficult for foraging of all creatures, which has a great effect of the apex predators. Birds of prey being one of them. Winter's tough for all of God's creatures. Cold weather makes it difficult to move around. Everything is just stiff. Referring to my joints. And everything else. This is a compression sack. There are stuff sacks. This would be, you know, a stuff sack. And a compression sack is like a stuff sack, but it has all these lines to it, and you can pull it, and like its name implies, you can compact this and make it really twice as small as it would normally. And you want to be able to have all your gear, so it's all got to fit. It's all got to fit in your pack. Often in the summertime, I kind of exclude this little footprint. I feel I don't need it. But in this environment, everything helps. I like the freestanding tents often. If I had a staked tent right now, I would have a very hard time pounding stakes into this frozen ground. Oops. I can't even properly stick my trekking poles into the frozen ground. So the benefits of a freestanding tent is that, well, it's freestanding. And just recently, I got back in September, I hiked the northern part of the last 700 miles of the Appalachian Trail. And so I was camping on mountaintops above the timberline at 5,000, 5,500 feet, and so that I don't disturb the vegetation in the alpine areas, I would sleep on rock slabs, and a freestanding tent comes in real handy, setting up on rock slabs. So when I was in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, going across the Presidential Range, I really took advantage of some pristine camp spots on mountaintops or mountain passes in between the mountains. And when I came down out of New Hampshire and into Maine, with all of those gorgeous lakes and ponds, I had some amazing white sandy beach ponds for camp spots. And once again, a little difficult to drive a stake into the sandy ground area. And a lot of times in those situations, you have to put a rock on top of your stake anyway. So I had made the call before hiking the last 700 miles of the Appalachian Trail to go back from a tarp tent to a freestanding tent. A little heavier, but to me it was worth it. I was in some really bad weather, and I was really happy that I made the gear changes and choices that I did. I don't even bother with the footprint yet until I get this set up. And once I get this set up, then it's easy to get the footprint in and all set up. The problem with this has a rain fly. My tarp tent is just waterproof. It's just one piece. So if you're setting up in the rain with this type of tent, the insides are going to get really wet before you get that rain fly up because of all the netting here. But I tell you, in a warm summer day in the Appalachians, high humidity, every slight little breeze is welcome. So you can then sleep without the tarp, the rain fly, and you can get a nice breeze in here in the heat of the summer. If you've been backpacking in an extreme, dangerously warm heat index, 105, and you're climbing mountains, once again, very dangerous. Just like here, hypothermia is a real issue, but so is dehydration. And a lot of people don't realize that you're losing a lot of fluids just by exhaling. And when you're climbing mountains, you're doing a lot of exhaling, no doubt about it. And in the cold weather, you're just not prone to be drinking a lot of fluids. And certainly not as often, speaking for myself anyways, certainly not as often as I would like to. And I'm always very conscious of it. And it's just one of those things that I always fall short. Not drinking enough water in the wintertime has always been a problem for me. And I know it. And I try to make a conscious effort because I know it. And I often fail short anyways. And so I've got some serious consumptions to go tonight. Plenty of teas. Yeah, it wasn't too painful. It's kind of technically called a two-person tent. I don't think that it would be two people my size. I wouldn't want to stay in there. Not with a second person, especially if the person was over 200 pounds. Would not be, well, Unless it was like really, really cold, maybe then it wouldn't be such a problem, but I like my space. I like my comfortability, so I actually use this tent for myself. I can keep my backpack in there. I like to keep an eye on my stuff. Don't need some animal running off with my backpack, dragging it out to Timbuktu somewhere. But basically, this is it. Just like that. The plastic doesn't really respond well in freezing temperatures as well. Plastic gets stiff. But here we are. We're set up. All right. I think I'll get my bedding in and that all squared away. Start thinking about gathering some firewood, get a nice little fire going, and I'll start consuming some fluids, much needed fluids, I must add, because I'm really thirsty. I had a much smaller air mattress, but on my last backpacking expedition, oh, it finally failed. I mean, the size of this is enormous, all folded up. My other air mattress was probably this long and folded up, rolled up tightly to about this, so it's really 6 times this small. But I guess I used it for 8 months and covered 2,000 miles with it. So, well, do the math. How many nights I inflated that, right? That's yeah, a couple hundred times at least. But this will have to do, because it sure beats sleeping on the frozen ground. Well, it's going to give me about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of insulation between me and the ground, and I'll take it.
times in the summertime when I'm out backpacking, especially down in the southern states, but actually I used it almost the entire hiking of the Appalachian Trail except for the New Hampshire, where I brought a bigger bag. But this is the biggest bag I have. I have several bags for different climates, but most of the time my body puts out a lot of heat when you climb the mountains all day long, and you keep some proper nutrition and calories in you. And I use my poncho liner, and it's just really thin. It's not windproof at all, but inside my tent I'm pretty sheltered from the wind, and it folds up like really tiny. This does not. So when you're backpacking, you really got to use your head and plan ahead. But this baby is a mummy bag. I'm not crazy about mummy bags. They're hard to fit into, but I'm gonna need it tonight, and I'll be glad I'm in it. Well, I hope I'm glad I'm in it. Well, I usually keep my sleeping bag. I like to sleep right at the door, and then I'll put my gear on the back side in case for whatever reason I gotta get out. I don't want to start climbing all over gear. So we're squared away here. Usually I'll zip it up, and that's to keep the bugs out, but there's no bugs, that's for sure. But in the summertime, the mosquitoes will eat you alive. Eat you alive. But we still have some sunlight here. I'm going to start gathering firewood. Gathering firewood. Always best to gather it up in big bundles and break it up when you get it into camp. I'll get a bit more than this, but these bigger pieces, once I get a good fire established, will help keep the fire going for quite a while. I may not get all the wood that I need right away, because I'm looking forward to getting a fire going and sitting down and having a nice cup of herbal tea. Like I said, I'm feeling a little under the weather. I've had a few symptoms of the last couple of weeks telling me that something's going on, and I've been addressing it, and I need to continue to address it. Fortifying and boosting my immune system naturally with herbs. My body naturally wants to heal itself, and many occasions you can keep off something more serious, as far as something bacterial or virus, perhaps, by keeping your immune system strong. And that's what herbal medicine does. It helps you help your body. To point out tools of choices. When I was younger, I loved to carry me a little hatchet, you know, in my belt, and it looked all cool, kind of Daniel Boone looking. But it is heavy. And like I said, when you're long distance backpacking, when you're out there for months at a time, everything that you live with is in your backpack there. And you're climbing big mountains and you're going hundreds of miles and you want to go light. So I gave up the hatchet. It's too heavy. And I went with this. If you find yourself, some of them are poorly made, you want to look at the design of the teeth. Get yourself a good professional arborist hand pruning saw like this, and it cuts right through this like butter, and you really save yourself a lot of aggravation. Granted, young man in the campsite, he'll run around and he'll get all the wood and he'll just jump on it and stomp on it and he'll break it all up nice for you, and that's great if you got a young kid around. I encourage it. And if a young kid's around, I encourage him to start the fire as well. But there's no young kids around, and it's up to me. So I love this thing. Folds up nice. In long distance backpacking, they say grams turn to ounces and ounces turn to pounds, and it all plays really hard on your back. But at the same time, all that running around, stomping and breaking branches, you know, uses a lot of energy as well. And well, either you bring it or you don't bring it. You bring it, you're carrying it. I'll carry it. Thank you very much. So the first thing you do, you start with the tips. Get your tender. And it's been so sunny, although it snowed damn near all night. This is really dry, and it's really going to be easy to get this baby going. Really easy. But I like technology, and I have lots of toys to play with, and I will demonstrate one way to make a fire. There are many ways to make a fire. Just like everything else, you want to start out with a good foundation. Therefore, don't build your fire on top of the pile of snow. I didn't mean to be yelling. Wasn't really yelling. But don't build a fire on top of the snow. Just kind of knock it away as best you can. It's not going to make much of a difference once it gets going. I'm really looking forward to this. I love fires. I've been out here in the wilderness building fires really since I think the age of 5 or 6. Well, we were going out, young boys. I was in scouting, but I was doing it before scouting. It was so funny. By the time I became a Boy Scout, I was a regular gourmet chef over an open fire. Remember, Scoutmaster used to love to come to my campsite and see what I was cooking, because he always wanted to grub. He always wanted to grub because I was always making something nice. My last outing of backpacking the last 700 miles of the Appalachian Trail, I went to an Asian market before I went away, and they had dried salami, dried meats, dried shrimp. They had Chinese, they dry everything. And I got seaweed, all sorts of different kinds of noodles and spices, and I filled up 3 big boxes, and I mailed one ahead where I knew that I would be stopping for my first resupply. First, obviously, I filled up my backpack with food and mailed the rest ahead to my first resupply town. I tell you, for the whole 3 months, I ate like a king. You would not believe how much seaweed reconstitutes. You just put a few fingerfuls of seaweed into your soup and it just blows up, and it just completes, you know, it changes the texture. And I don't know how many people are long distance backpackers out there and hiking the Appalachian Trail and the Continental Divide and the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. But most long distance backpackers eat like crap. They live on the top ramen and the processed, you know, oatmeals. And it's just so grand. It doesn't even look, it's just a powder, and it's so full of sugars. And so I try to avoid that stuff. And you can find that in an Asian market. It's really a good tip. You know, when you just go through there, I remember before I was planning my hike, I would just go through there and go down every aisle and just see what they had. Dried mushrooms. Oh my gosh, except for the wild food foraging that I did in the chanterelles up north, I had shiitake mushrooms just about every night. And they reconstitute, and you make a big soup because you want a soup, because it's full of like liquid too, and you're always thirsty, always thirsty. So, boy, it was like eating steak. You know, you actually, you know, had to chew on it. You know, even though after it reconstituted and it cooked all real nice and tender. You know, not like a noodle. That's for sure. You had to bite into it. Actually made you feel like you were actually eating something. Oh, this is gonna be a good fire. Oh yeah. And I know I keep talking about all those young whippersnappers snapping these branches, and they're easy to snap. But when I need to, believe you me, I'll break out that SAR in a half a heartbeat. Save myself a little energy and aggravation. You know what I mean when you go to snap one of these things and it flies back and hits you in the eyeball. You only got two. I don't even think I got that anymore. Two halves. Damn sure don't make no hole. I was just saying to a friend of mine the other day, if I could, I would be out here every day. That would be my home every day. Got your little solar panel, got your little notebook, get into town, just jump onto some Wi-Fi for free, say hey to mom, let her know you're still out there, that you're thinking about her. Somebody asked me last year, how long could you go out there if you had your backpack and all? And I said, if I had a small arms rifle, like a 22, easy to find ammo, and a fishing pole, I could live out there indefinitely. Be nomadic, like the native peoples here of this country. You know, they had their winter homes and their summer homes, and they would follow the food. I would follow the weather. I was thinking about maybe going down to Florida next winter, living in the Everglades. Just a thought. I'll tell you, with a 22 rifle, I'd be shooting rabbits. I love rabbit. I could live on rabbit every day. down in Florida with a fishing pole. I'd be digging oysters along the intercoastal waterways there, and the bridges, the pylons. The oysters just cling to them. And all the little fish and crabs. Oh my gosh. I bet there's a lot of people down there just living off of the land. It's easy to do. Geez, I'm having so much fun just busting up all this stuff, but all this little tender. And it is so dry. It is so dry, it's going to burn up really fast. And really, I could pretty much just probably shave off some of that bark there and put a light to it, and it's going to go up. But you know how much I like science, and I love talking about science every chance I can. You know, girls. Science. So we're going to do something scientific. Because it's always fun. Don't be afraid of knowledge and technology. Don't be afraid of what your brain can remember and utilize. It's the most important tool in your arsenal. First line of defense is good offense. I sound like General Patton there for a second. Good grief. Well, I think we're good as far as getting all these little bits going. Might break out that saw. Cut some of these bigger pieces before I really get started, because that's going to go up good and going to go up good and hot. You put some bigger pieces in here, and it'll take hold in no time. Where's that young kid when you need one? Sometimes if you just score it. All you need. Like I said, always go back to that thing up there. Been doing it long enough. You'll get your own tricks. Well, you bring a young kid along. Let him figure it out. Really icy underneath that snow. Now this birch here, and birch bark is awesome. The oils just underneath the bark is incredible. Incredible fire starter. Oh my goodness. Just this. Now you don't want to peel it off a living tree, and I mean it peels off and everything, but you peel, too many people peeling off this white birch up there in the New England states there, and they're killing trees. This is their skin. This is their defense. This is gonna hurt. Now, just that the ground is so slippery, if I step wrong, I'm gonna fall on my butt. Oh, and that's not gonna help. So, let's get this fire going. It goes back to, yes, so funny. Everybody's got their ways. Think about bringing this next time you're going out. I'm telling you. So how do you like to build your fire? Some people like to TP. The TP is all fine and dandy, but it is going to collapse. And when it does collapse, it could change the whole layout of your fire, and it could diminish because the way it collapsed. So I tend to stay away from it. I mean, I do it every once in a while, but it's making a fire is kind of like breathing. You can only inhale and exhale so many ways. My thought anyways. So, I build up a little backing here. And if you're in a windy area, you would build that little wall. The wind would be coming then this way, and this would help block the wind from you a bit. And then you build yourself a little fire on the other side of it there, and your match won't blow out. Or you could use gasoline. Then you don't have to worry about a thing. Well, you might burn your facial hair. So, I mean, there's really not much to it. And like I said, everybody's got their ways. It's like a recipe for chicken soup. Wonder how many recipes there are. And of course, everybody's is the best way. The best chicken soup I ever had was my mama made it. Oh, so that's it. I'm happy with it. Gonna get some little tiny little twigs for my starter. I mean, really, this is all gonna burn up so fast. Beautiful little things. Now, here comes the fun part. I don't know about you, but when I was little, I loved making fires. Some things just never change. Well, I've gotten older and probably more ornery because of it, and because of that I have done all sorts of different things to allow my harmonious nature to take hold. And I mean, I'm serious here. These are my granddaughter's sunglasses. She left them in my truck the last time she came to visit me, and I bring them in my backpack wherever I go. It makes me smile. She makes me smile. Those sunglasses make me laugh. And if you're around some codgy person having a bad day, all you gotta do is just put those babies on, and everything's gonna be right as rain. You can do miracles and make the grumpiest, meanest people laugh like hell. All right. I wanted to bring y'all in nice and close here, because I only want to have to show you this once. I'm getting cranky. Magnesium.
Magnesium is highly flammable. It's very common. It's I think the 8th most common element in the Earth's crust. It burns really hot. I mean, really hot. Let's say the sun's surface is 6,000 degrees Celsius, let's say. The sun's surface. Burning magnesium. $3,000. Now everybody knows that don't want to go dancing on the surface of the sun, because it is hot. And so is this. You know, in molten burning magnesium, you can't put it out with water because, well, water is full of hydrogen, and this is so hot that it takes all of that hydrogen, and we all know that hydrogen is really, really explosive, right? And flammable. So if you're putting water on a magnesium fire, just gonna make it bigger. I like to use petroleum jelly. Yes, folks, I guess a trademark would be Vaseline. And what I do is I got a big old jar of this, and I'll just have just a little tiny jar like this. And I just kind of get a whole bunch of cotton balls, and I'll just massage this Vaseline in it, and then just put it away, and it's good forever, and you can store it, and you can mail it to you, and you can do a lot of things with it. And I'll spread it out like this. Like we said, the worst part, right, is all this ice and snow on the ground. And so we just want to have something down here to start the fire. On, so it's not just sitting on the snow and ice. Make us a little room here. Just put that little old thing just like that. Pretty simple. And I mean, there's a number of ways that we could go about doing this. Some magnesium shavings here, right? $3,100 Celsius, actually, to be technical. In Fahrenheit, that's over 5,000 degrees. So there you go. You know that's hot. That'll roast your chicken, boy, in no time. And you can get these things in all your little survival stores, you know, camping outfitter stores and everything. They're everywhere. I guess it's the new thing, the big thing. And you got the magnesium block here. This probably lasts you a lifetime. And then and you got your flint striker here, and it's really pretty simple.
Biggest thing is you don't want to smother your fire. Just want to kind of coax it. It's kind of like a dance. Get your feet all tangled up. Start moving too fast. You know, it's like dancing. You're gonna trip over your own feet or step on your girlfriend's feet, which would be worse. And that's really pretty much it. Really. Well, now wasn't that bad, right? Well, my hands are getting really cold. But the biggest thing is you want to be really gentle. Don't smother your fire by putting too much stuff on it at one time. Baby steps. You want to nurture it. Once we get it going nicely, I can just shift this all the way over if I want to, or add more to it. We'll make that call in a moment. But we have fire, and in no time at all, we're going to have a raging fire. The sun is getting lower and lower. It's getting colder and colder as we speak. And I'm really glad I stopped when I did. And you want to be careful. Did you ever play that game when you was a kid? What was it, pick up sticks or something like that? And you just have a bundle of sticks and you gotta pick them up without moving one. I was actually really good at that game. I had like hands of a surgeon. Yeah, I've gone to hell in a handbasket since then. But same thing, if you're gonna take from your pile here, you don't want to knock everything over. You collapse your fire right now, and chances are it's going to lose its momentum. It's going to change the whole oxygen flow of it, and that's what it's really basically all about. You need your fire to breathe. You want your fire to breathe. And so you don't want to get all rambunctious. Just start dumping stuff on top of it. That's how most people fail. That's how most people's fires go out. So, with that said, I think that I could safely say we have a fire, and it's not going to go out. Magnesium does the body good. I'm going to be honest with you. When I was out there gathering wood, I found this, somebody left it behind. And here's the honest part that comes in. I'm going to sit on it because I deserve this. I believe it was put there for a reason. Maybe no good reason, but it is a good reason now. Oh. And here, and this is it. This is that moment. Did you just see that? I'll do it again. Yeah, you can't fake that. You can't make this shit up. This is what it's all about. And I have hiked, I have froze, I have sweated. And now it comes time for my reward. And I don't mean the bucket, but it helps. Now on the other side of that hill, there was a creek. And I actually had to break through it to get some water. And with that said, all water should be treated. And just like building a fire, there are many ways to treat water. You can boil it. I've seen people put drops of chlorine in it and feel that that's good for them, and that's good for them, and it's not good for me. I do a lot of different stuff. And I carry iodine tabs with me sometimes as a backup, but not too often. This is a gravity bag system. Now last year hiking the Appalachian Trail, I bought this a couple of years ago, and last year the new thing was these filters, which is just like this. This is you know, part of my gravity bag filtration system. It's kind of idiot proof. There's an arrow pointing that way, which means the flow of your water. You fill this up. And I love all these. I love technology. I really do. I love going to camp stores. Good thing I'm not filthy rich. I would spend all my money. So if you're friends of mine, do not lend me your money. Do not let me hold your money and go to a camp store. You fill this up with water. And you could hook this here up to, I often will hook it just up to my other bag, my platypus, my camel, my internal backpack. That flew over. Water system that I use for drinking as I go, and it's got a quick connect, just like these fittings here, and it connects just up this. You hang it, and gravity does all the work. I love it. The problem right now is that it is so cold that all the water droplets forming into the filter here will freeze, and it does not work in this environment. I guess I could keep it. I mean, the radiant heat here is awesome, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to use it. I just wanted to display it. What I am going to use now I'm going to make tea right now, of course, but I'm not going to bring it to a boil, and I'm not going to bring it to a boil for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm not going to do it. I don't need to do that. So what I will do, I have a liter of water here that I picked up at that stream, and what I hear is really popular in third world countries now for that people who have just bad water in general, and the water coming out of their tap can kill them. This is called a stirry pen, and this is UV lighting. This came from Germany. Germany, they've always just been so good with technology. And they have this UV lighting set up through their plumbing, and as the water goes through their pipes, it goes through this lighting apparatus here, and it kills 99.9% of all bacteria, protozoa, and viruses that can do a body harm. So what I'm going to do, because all water to me is suspicious, And every once in a while, I'll drink out of that bubbly spring just pouring right out of the mountain there. And I'm taking risks that way, but they're my risk, and I decided that at the time that I will drink it, and that's that. But in this case, I will test this, and isn't that funny? The battery might be dead. I have a backup. We will try it one more time. Yep, battery's dead. I have backup batteries. Of course I do. I was a Boy Scout. It's always good to know where your stuff is all the time, too. Being a creature of habit, it's easy to figure this stuff out from me, that's for sure. Everything has its place, and everything is in its place, so anybody who knows me personally is, you know, don't touch my stuff. And if you do, you better make sure you put it back where you found it. Right? Isn't that funny? Jeez. I used to have a nickel in here. You know, to unscrew this, so a nickel works really well. You know, it doesn't have any sharp, pointy edges where you can hurt yourself, but I think, yeah. That was the reason why I had that nickel. Guess I only have myself to blame. Come on. Of course. I don't have any change. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Why would I have any coins on me? Good grief. Well, nickel sure is faster. Well, damn sure good thing. At least I have backup batteries, but Gerardia, boy, that doesn't care if you have a nickel or not. That is one deadly virus. You do not want to have it. It'll suck the life out of you. You can get it coming right off a snow melt, the top of the mountains. So all this water that you think is pure and pristine, mountaintop snow runoff, all cold and freezing. We think that you would be good, but you are not. So if you are wise, you should always be prepared to treat your water. And the reason why I'm not going to boil my water, so I'm making tea, and that'll be too damn hot, and then I gotta wait for it to cool down, and yada yada yada. And I just don't want to do that, so you're just gonna have to just be patient. I'm patient. I'm real patient. Boy, nickel sure is a lot easier. Wonder what happened. I must have needed it. Well, when you're out there backpacking for 3 months, at the end of that 3 months, your funds are getting a little low. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. So I can't imagine me, you know, dipping in to my battery pack there for a nickel. But stranger things have happened. All right. here we go. We're at it again. Well, how about that? Well, I would say I had an oops-a-daisy moment. I put the batteries upside down. I mean, that happens, right? But at least I admitted it. I mean, I could have, you know, played it off. Could have played it off. But I didn't. And it's just not working. Guess I should have tested it. There we go. Damn. And in 90 seconds, this little stirry pen would have killed 99.9% of all protozoa, bacteria, and viruses that will do a body harm. And the little light will go off saying that you are good to go. And in the thousands and thousands of miles that I have hiked, I have never ever gotten sick from a waterborne virus anyways, like Giardia. That's a good fire. I'm kind of warm. Nice thing about having a bucket, I can always move it back. But you know, I got this dynamic flow going on right now with this thing. I hate to stop. Good thing we stopped when we did. Hey, it's gonna be dark soon. What the hell have I been doing? Gee whiz. And we're good to go. Don't be afraid to move the bucket. That takes us to our next adventure. Nourishment. In this case, medicine. Liquid nourishment. Oh, that fire feels good. Fire starters, water purifiers. Make no mistake about it, there's as many stoves out there too. And I have a lot of them. I have the Mountaineering White Fuel, Whisper Light Fuel, which is good for the higher elevations. This nifty little thing is called a pocket rocket. And I've probably used this off and on over 2,000 miles for sure. I've used alcohol stoves. I even used the Zip stove that actually has a little toy motor, runs off of 2 AA batteries, and it has a little burn box in the above the burn above the fan, and you burn little twigs just like this, no bigger than a pencil, inside the burn box, and you put that fan on, and I swear, it sounds like a blowtorch. It is really fast, and you don't have to carry fuel. I really like it. I used it in the beginning hiking the Appalachian Trail. I was in Springer Mountain in Georgia, but it just rained so much that year, and the wood was always wet, and the wet wood made a lot of smoke, which made a lot of carbon, which would cover the bottom of my pot, which would create an insulation barrier, and it would take longer to boil my water. And then all that black carbon and soot just gets everywhere, you know, the cracks and all. So I gave it up. I still use it, but there's a time and a place for everything. And that goes with technology too. I just love this little thing. It just comes with, this is 2 cups in here, and this has got a little insulation, so you would have a warm beverage in here, the little sippy thing there, so you don't spill it. And then you could, you know, make some porridge, some oatmeal or something in that, or share tea with a friend. This comes with the cover is also a little skillet, and this I use this at home a lot too, because no need to use a big pot. No need to use a big pot. We got the fire going with the little flint and all fancy stuff, right? So I can go ahead and use a good grief. That is weird. Jeez, I'm just coming through all sorts of difficulties today with gear. I haven't tried it since I got back in, geez, September. Wasn't really that long ago, but I can see a lot of Pantene here from corrosion. It's, you know, the Pantene green. And okay. And we want to be careful. Don't want to make any mistakes. That's the great thing about being out here. You're on your own. Take your time. Relax, man. You know, when I was younger, I thought duct tape was the greatest invention known to mankind. And then they came out with the Bic lighter. And then as things changed, and I got older, now it's Viagra. Greatest invention of mankind. You know, man, as in, you know, masculine, man, mankind. They still say that in this day and age. Okay, we can say womankind. But then what the hell is she doing with Viagra? Unless they're gifts, of course. But, well, enough of that talk. Let's get down to business. As many stoves out here to process your tea, there are many ways to process your tea as well. I bring this strainer with me because, you know, it's when you get all those bits in there, it's just not pleasant. But I don't pack my herbs in there and steep it in here. I'm actually going to put my herbs in the pot and steep it in the pot, and then I will strain it using this, pouring that into my cup. It's how I do it. And many people do things differently throughout the world. Makes it unique
and beautiful that we're all individuals. Now, I told you that I wasn't feeling well, and motherwort is an herb that I always use. And I have GI problems, always have since I was a kid, and it's just probably stress related. Imagine that. Why would I be stressed out here? But I just got out here. There's a reason why I come out here. Not going to get too fancy. Really don't think I need yarrow right now. It's just way too strong for the way I'm feeling. But we're going to bring that baby up to a boil. And then we're going to, and I'm just going to, not measuring this out. I've been down this road many times, and one beautiful thing about herbs is it's really hard to over medicate. I mean, well, if there's a way, I would find to do it for sure, but well, not with these herbs anyways, thank God. I will need to put a little oil and utilize that Venturi control mechanism for sure before my next hike. Perhaps I can look at it later, but I don't want to mess with it too much. I got it working, and I don't want to break it because I have struggled enough today, and now I want the rest of what's left of daylight, which is not much, to belong to me in a peaceful, harmonious way, if that's possible, in a fire. If that's possible. Motherwort and echinacea have been used for centuries. Motherwort is really good for calming, really good for leveling out your heart rate if you're having spasms. Your heartbeat is irregular. This will help bring you in, but it's a calming herb as well. I wouldn't say that it's a stimulant, but it is relaxing. Echinacea tastes good. Motherwort tastes like grass. I mean, like the lawn. You gotta be careful with the way you use words around here these days. But yeah, it tastes like hay. It tastes like alfalfa. It tastes like grass. Echinacea, it's got a little more flavor. It's got some flower buds in here. And it's really going to really strengthen my white corpuscles, my white blood cells, and that's the stuff that, you know, fights the infections, and it really kind of, you know, boosts your immune system. And so that's what I'm looking for today. Get some heat. And I'm going to use 3 tablespoons. And that was 3 tablespoons. Have I ever told you about the time I got in a lot of trouble going through customs with this stuff? You can imagine, right? And 3 tablespoons of motherwort. Feel the seeds in there. Well, it's actually the casing around the seeds is really kind of prickly. The seeds are really cool looking. They're kind of like a funnel cone shape. It's really a unique shaped seed. I like to look at them under my, not so much my microscope, but a good strong magnifying glass is always fun. Something to stir. We could use a stick. But but we are civilized human beings. And so we will use chopsticks. I pretty much use chopsticks out there backpacking all the time. It's kind of like one of my trademarks. I guess kind of like my mustache, I guess. Jeez, I don't know why people make such a big deal of my facial hair. You know, it's my body. And I'll grow it if I want to. I'll grow it if I want to. I heard the woman that sung that song just died recently. It's My Party. It's a 1968, I think. Oh, this is going to be so good. This is going to be so good. Ah. Good grief. What happened to our fire? Ah. I will never ever get used to smoke. And if you're one of those people, no matter where you sit, the wind will find a way to blow it in your face. Yeah, I'm one of those lucky ones. Some things you just never get used to. Smoke in your eyes. There you go. Tea. Oh yeah. Nice warm cup of soup. Now I'm going to sit and relax here and have tea for a while. Really just let my body absorb all the goodness this has to offer. Make me a nice hot cup of soup later. In the rack I go. I will sleep well. I'll tell you, I've never slept well either. Probably has something to do with the GI, I'm sure. But when I'm out here, I sleep really well. Good cold mountain air. My tent. Air mattress. The air mattress is the great equalizer. If you don't have really flat ground and there's roots, maybe twisted knotted roots everywhere, your air mattress makes everything all right. And fire, of course. Yeah, this thing really isn't working effectively, but that's just because it's not opening all the way. And there you go. It is going a little bit, but I'm going to work with that with a little lubricant and maybe a good pair of pliers, because the handle here just sticks in and I'll break that for sure. But we're good. We're good. What a great fire. I tell you, I love this life. I love this life. Did I mention I would be out here every day of my life if I could? I know I did. I don't believe I brought any honey with me. I asked and she said she didn't want to go. Now, it looks like, the reason why I said it looks this amber color. It looks like honey. And some honey would really be the icing on the cake. But this will do just fine. Yeah, put your tea on the frozen ground. That always helps. What else am I gonna do? Just, yeah. There. Cheers to good health. Literally. This is good for me. I know that it's good for me. It has been scientifically proven that it is good for me. And with all that information psychologically, it makes me feel so much better. Because you also have to take care of your mental abilities, and your psychological well-being could actually cause physical ailments. So we have to treat our body and our spirit well and maintain both in a positive way. Oh, this is so nice. If I only had a piece of dark chocolate, you know, the 100% dark chocolate, no sugar, just 100% chocolate. I like it. A little bitter. Kind of matches my disposition, I guess, sometimes. But not right now. Not a bitter spot on my body right now. Well, maybe my feet. This is a great life. This is a great way to live. So many people never experienced this before, and it's an amazing feeling. And I just hope that I touch many and give people the courage to come on out here. You can do it.